Welcome to the Greenway Outdoors Podcast, your trusted source for outdoor information and entertainment. The Greenway Outdoors is also an internationally syndicated TV show and conservation advocate aimed at bringing millennials and Generation Z into the outdoors. Welcome to the Greenway Outdoors. The Greenway Outdoors Podcast is brought to you by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Motor Trend's Truck of the Year for the third year in a row. Bass Pro Shop and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. And by Tracker Boats. Fish the best. Hello and welcome to episode 59 of the Greenway Outdoors Podcast. I'm Kyle.
I'm AJ.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Ryan.
What's up, guys? Man, there's times when you come back and you're just happy, you know?
It's true.
I'm happy.
It's been like 3.5 weeks. It seems like that's been the stretch. Now we're starting this new week. We're here finally together collectively.
We've all decided that this Friday is Monday. The
Yes.
whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Yeah.
You were calling today Monday, and I was
The whole week.
I was accepting of it.
The whole week.
And then I realized I was like, wait, when we get back, it will be Friday, buddy. And that means we get to record our podcast. How cool is that? Ryan, how happy are you?
To record a podcast a few hours before it has to go out. I'm super happy about that. So much work.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad AJ's day will be full doing it while you never touch the thing. Okay, so you're doing this one, right, AJ?
To be fair, I've done every single podcast.
That is
so
fair.
Give me producer credit.
As long as you look at like episode 56 or 59, Ryan's done every last one of them.
Yep.
He's like, oh, man.
You can tell.
You can tell. Jeff, I'm sorry you missed the trip.
That's okay. I had a very relaxing, quiet week. It was great.
Yeah?
I heard you got a nice day throughout that week or throughout the days we were gone.
Yeah, it was a nice, mostly peaceful. I did have one coyote attack, which was pretty
What?
sad. I had some coyotes break into my chicken coop
Why do you say
Dang.
coyotes?
because they took 5 birds.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah, I found enough feathers that I was like, well, they're all gone,
Right.
Because there's feathers just everywhere.
So you got in the coop, no birds.
No, there were. I had 15 birds at the time, so there were 10 just very casually hanging out.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, so there's nothing wrong. But where are the other birds? And I look out in the yard. I got a flashlight. It's midnight, and there's just
And you're just in a bathrobe,
it's like tumbleweed,
Crocs.
Of feathers?
feathers just going everywhere. So I lost I had one chucker that I had raised that was like a chicken. It,
Yeah.
like, hung out with the chickens. You know, it bathed with them like in the dirt. You know, they do their little dust
Yeah.
baths.
I loved that bird.
It was
Yeah,
adorable.
That bird
And
perished.
Yeah, they got that
Dang.
bird. They got one of the
Pour one
chickens.
for my homie.
The one that can fly, no problem,
Yep.
is the one that got it.
And you can tell because they like nipped at him while he ran because he ran really fast. But you can tell that he pretty much only ran because there was feathers from him here, there was feathers from him here, there's feathers from him here, and then there was a lot of feathers, and then I never saw him again.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, but I did find I have a turkey also. Found him in the middle of the field next door, and wouldn't move. So I had to carry it back into my yard just to get it to 'cause
He's
obviously
alive?
It's panicked, you know.
Oh,
I don't mean to
okay.
question you, but isn't that he turkey you're talking about laid eggs in the past?
Oh yeah, it is a she.
Okay.
It's,
They're all.
did you just?
It sounded like you assumed the gender. That's all I'm saying.
But yeah, so they were all. Some of them were pretty shaken up. Some of them didn't have a care in the world. But then, of course, by the following morning, they were all happy-go-lucky. They have no idea that anything bad
The
happened.
massacre just ended the night before, but
Yeah, no.
let's party.
They're walking around. They're picking at the feathers that are in the yard. It's like those were your buddies.
That was little Timmy.
What
I
you,
never cared about him.
what you don't know is they helped.
Yeah,
They helped corral him.
these are the ones. Come get them.
Found him.
Did you find any carcasses?
No, I did not. They made off with them.
Wow.
So that's what leads me to, because my initial thought is usually like raccoon, because they'll get them and just kill them, and you'll find them headless somewhere. They'll take the head and do something else with it, which is like a trophy. I don't know. It's weird.
They got
So
a little
they-
in their little raccoon hut. They got a wall with
Little
chicken
plaques.
heads.
But yeah, so I lost one chicken. I found 2 of the chickens down by the pond, just sitting in the water, and it's like it was the day before it was 81, so it was only like 40 some, and they're sitting in the water just they can't get me here.
Oh.
It just won't move. And I walk up and usually, because I don't like hold them, I don't like pet them or anything. They're not pets. They're, livestock. I know I'm a jerk.
I couldn't do it.
I
fall in
so
love
I don't
with
I don't
everything.
really like hold them a lot. So if you come up to them, you can like feed them by hand. But if you try to like pick them or touch them, they don't like it. I went and had to pick them up out of the water, and they just they didn't move at all. I'm like, oh no. And usually, like if something like that happens, you'll get up the next morning and they'll just either be dead in the coop from shock or they whatever. But they were all fine. They got up. The one is missing a bunch of feathers on one side, and it flails in the wind like this. And some of them look pretty beat up, but
Yeah.
I only ended up losing 2. So,
And what did you do as a negligent owner?
We
for
will
this to
rebuild.
I fell asleep one time on a couch.
Oh,
Yeah, woke up. It was dark, and I'm like, oh no. But it's probably fine because
it happens.
what are the odds today is going to be the day? It was the day.
It was that day.
Jeez.
Couldn't wait.
Womp womp.
They got in and just. Yeah, you've seen fox there too, right?
Yep. Yeah, I chased a fox on foot while it was holding one of my chickens in its mouth, and I got to the woods and and then it dropped it and finally ran off.
Do that again. What did you do?
Exactly that. Very minimal,
How many chickens did you have before the massacre?
15.
15. How many eggs do you get a day then?
Oh, I've got like 120 in the fridge.
I
was
just
supposed to bring
asked
some
per
this
day.
morning,
I'm just kidding.
but I didn't. So
That would have been nice.
That would have been great.
Those eggs are great. How
We
many do you
get-
get per day though?
probably 9, 10, 11.
Yeah.
Depends on the day.
Wow.
They say that turkeys are only supposed to lay 120 eggs.
Ever?
20 eggs like per
Year.
season,
Yeah.
and they don't lay very much. At least that's what I read online when I first got the turkey. I get at least 2, 3, 4 a week. So I don't know if this
No
turkey is
kidding.
just different. If maybe I was looking up wild turkey information.
How are the turkey eggs?
The tap's still flowing?
They're not quite as good as the chicken eggs. They're bigger, obviously.
He's like, it's weird. There's like these little bodies in them that look like miniature turkeys. And you really
Unless-
got to chew them up.
Unless my turkey's getting some in the next door property, it's only hers. So
Yeah.
But yeah, they're
Getting some?
Huh?
Getting some?
like male turkeys in the area
I
to
don't
fertilize
follow.
the eggs. That's how babies are made.
How?
Really? Because my
So-
Are
dad told me
babies
there
made?
was no eggs involved.
Well, they're not storks, so they get them from storks, right? But yeah, the eggs are the yolks are a little more yellow. The chickens lay a little more orangish. They're a little richer.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a little less flavor, I think, but they're still just as they're better than store-bought eggs still.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like them.
I like 'em.
I'm bummed that we don't have some right now.
If you're in South Carolina, one of our good friends, Jeremy, it's called Story Farms, and they've got like a front food stand and stuff like that. And I've never had eggs like this in my life. He tweaked. It was all about the food that he fed them. Made so much difference with the eggs. There's no hint of yellow to the yolk at all. It's just straight orange.
Mm-hmm.
When we opened them up and like dropped them in the pan, I'm like, that doesn't even. It was like a red orange,
Mm-hmm.
and the flavor was so much better and so much richer than any other egg I've ever had. It was like eating if butter and egg had a baby. And I know I say that about grouse, but
Butter a lot.
yeah,
Yeah, loves his butter.
I do.
Puts it on everything, just like ketchup.
I put it on everything.
We gotta
Cheerios.
we gotta get we gotta get all you can eat
Captain
crab.
Crunch.
And we're just breaking into the crab, and he goes, "Can I get some ketchup?" Like,
Oh,
Ketchup's good
and
on crab legs.
he mixes the butter with the ketchup, and then dips the crab in that.
I'm going to be sick.
yeah.
Yeah.
So good. You should try it.
We
All right,
know
well,
where you
thanks
were
for joining
raised.
us. We're gonna leave now.
I was raised at the same place he was.
Well, something.
People use cocktail sauce. No one bats an eye. Little Heinz 57, and I'm the bad guy. You know what I mean? It's
It
like,
goes to show if you're born trash.
You
That's
stay
a fair
trash.
argument.
jeez.
It's not nurture. It's
Speaking of trash, if you didn't get to go on this most recent trip with us,
I had a better segue.
what's your
I was gonna
segue?
say, oh, I had trout eggs.
He did have
Oh,
trout eggs
Dang.
oh yeah.
while we were in
I
Idaho.
don't know what that has to do with trash, but okay, go ahead.
We were talking about eggs.
No, it was
dumb,
his seg.
Dumb, dumb.
It was his segue because we were talking about eggs and now we're not.
Yeah.
Like we're done with that. And any
Oh.
jokes that have to do with
I
it.
thought he meant segue from what we were literally just talking about, because that's how segues work. Go ahead.
No, he
Trout
said he
eggs,
had
you said?
He had a better one.
Shh, he's telling a story.
I had trout eggs.
Really?
And I ate them.
What's
Right out of
messed
the
up
mama.
is they weren't fresh. We caught a whole mess of rainbow trout, and then the guy we went with had rainbow trout from the day before, and then they were emptying eggs, and we don't know if he got them from the ones from that morning, which was still a lot of time spent, or if he got them from the day before. And if I was betting, and I meant that, I wasn't just messing with him, I would bet that he got it out of the pile that was older.
I think it was from the day before too. And guess what?
would
It
they be
affected me
bad?
none.
I say, would they be bad?
Yeah, you would have thrown up either way, so it didn't matter.
They were fine. I mean,
Yeah.
the flavor was if you ate too far on a cantaloupe. Like if you
Really?
were eating
Rind.
towards the rind.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was very watery and it tasted like that.
We should have made bubble tea with those eggs.
That's what it looks like.
Just tell no one. Be like,
just eating.
What, the cantaloupe flavor? They do taste like cantaloupe.
here's
I
Scrant
bet they
2.0.
do.
We made you some bubble tea.
Oh,
Yeah. How you saying about
all of it.
it's all,
Would you have tried?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I've had
not out of
They
that
did,
pile
they
though.
did.
I've had caviar before.
Yeah.
They put some on sushi sometimes. Those
Yeah.
little orange things.
They were orangish.
One thing I've learned in life is that when people are cutting up something and the people cutting it up are like, I would not eat that part. I don't
That usually makes me want to, actually.
really. Well, it made Ryan want to.
Wait,
And they also didn't say that.
they said
Yeah,
don't
they did.
eat it?
They said they wouldn't eat it.
They said that we don't like it. They've tried it and they don't like it. That's
Yeah.
the same
Right.
as trying anything and saying you don't like it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean
To-
it's bad.
To me, if you go anywhere and they're like, oh, a lot of people like this. This is something that people eat. It can't be that bad.
Yeah, right?
At least not to try once.
The
you know.
description I got
like,
from
I don't-
Lance in the boat was nobody likes it.
But
Okay.
people eat it.
So you'll fit right in.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste like French fries or
Chicken
acai-
tenders.
butter.
acai bowls.
Chicken tenders.
Yeah.
I like those too. And every meat ever.
Yeah.
Except crow.
Crow is good.
I didn't get to go on the trip, so I care.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah.
Choosing not to eat it.
Yeah.
Well, Idaho was awesome. Jeff's never going to ask a question about it, so I'll go ahead and move right on into it. So we went to Idaho. We landed in
Jackson Hole.
Jackson Hole,
Wyoming.
and we worked with the Rocky Mountain Yeti Ram dealership there,
Okay.
which is, shout out to them. It is an awesome, awesome store. It was a blast. That was one of the most fun dealerships we've ever been to.
Yeah.
They have the coolest logo, too.
Yeah.
They gave us hat and shirts and let us drive all kind of crazy stuff. It was
Nice.
pretty cool.
What about the dealership was so cool?
I just said they gave us shirts and hats and let us drive all kinds of
Yeah,
cool
but you
stuff.
said the dealership was cool.
The people.
Oh, okay.
The people.
The collective group.
Ah,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the vibe they had was cool.
Yeah.
So they had their own logo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a Yeti.
Nice.
It's like a cool Yeti logo, though.
Yeah.
They gave me a hat.
It looks
Shirt.
like the Abominable Snowman in Monsters, Inc.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
got
Okay.
you a sticker. Yeah, I'm sweet.
I
But
was given one that I will give to you.
Yeah.
we landed there, and then about 60 miles from there is where we were headed to go to Idaho Falls, or about 70 miles.
Yeah, somewhere around
But
Yeah.
it was like, when I plugged it in the GPS, it's like, but that's 2 hours and 10 minutes. And I was like,
Why?
yeah, why? I was like, I'm not going to take that long to drive that far. And I was like, oh, well, the speed limit's probably just low, but it's in the mountains. It's fine.
Isn't it?
It was,
like 80 there. I thought.
no,
No.
not where we were. And it wouldn't matter anyways.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter anyways. I don't even know what the speed limit was, but it wouldn't matter. You're going through the most windy
Oh,
roads
you
ever.
couldn't go 50 if you tried.
No, and if you make a
No.
mistake, you're going off. So, yeah, it's
And the snow refused to melt. It was 65
Oh,
out there. It
really?
was not melting.
it was 65, and even so, there's such a vast change in elevation that we were dealing with, where you can see the mountaintops and it's always got snow. But there was like ski resorts where people are still snowboarding and stuff,
Nice.
and it was like 60 out,
Yeah.
but the snow's there, and it doesn't seem like the snow has any plans of melting. Even at
You didn't see any runoff or anything.
And like
Huh.
in the ditches and stuff where there was like a bunch of snow piled up, like where it was warm, because at the higher elevation it's obviously way colder. Lower elevation it's way warmer. Even at the warmer elevation there was like snow that's like, yeah, I'm here. But it didn't seem like there'd be good reason for it to be there.
Yeah.
But it just wouldn't
Well, it's
go
kind
away.
of like Hawaii, where they have every climate there, even though you wouldn't think of like snow or cold.
Right.
Right. Why? But you go that high up in that mountain, and it's cold
It's
up there.
45 out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we saw a lot of snow, but the winding roads and stuff like that, you just couldn't speed. There was
Yeah.
no way. You had to take your time because it was.
One guy made that mistake.
Oh yeah, what was that?
He had like a fifth wheel,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
we were
It's already
coming
sounds
around
bad.
this turn into this town, and we're like looking at. We're like, what is that? We didn't even know what we were looking at.
It was hard to tell.
Yeah, and we get up to it, and he must have had a piece of machinery, maybe a generator, on this fifth wheel. Fifth wheel was upside down on the side of the road, and whatever the piece of machinery was blown up. And then we're like, "Where's the truck? The truck's gone."
Like it had like separated, or it
Oh yeah.
blew
no,
up.
there was pieces everywhere. Not like explosion blew up,
Oh, okay.
but like destroyed into
was a
like
generator. I don't know. Like.
yeah, no, it just thousands of pieces.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we can't figure out where the truck is. It's nowhere to be seen. We thought it was a semi,
Yeah.
so easy to see.
Yeah.
But then we drive up the road a little bit, and there's a whole bunch of cops around this guy, and the guy's like leaned up against his car, just like
Hey, man, it happens.
He's like, here was what happened.
Yeah.
It happens.
it clearly says 25 miles an hour, and you came through at 70.
That's expensive.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was totaled.
It didn't look like he took out anyone else, but he made a mess of things.
Yeah, he did.
But
Cops didn't look happy.
Was it like guardrails or?
he went
No.
through one.
Oh,
Yeah, I think he
Mhm.
did.
Yep. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
little one.
I guess a guardrail ain't gonna stop a fifth wheel,
No,
especially not if it's rolling.
no. And based on where it landed, my guess was when it hit the guardrail, it was already sideways.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I would more
How
of a,
fast you got to be going to get the whole fifth wheel to?
according to the cop, 26 because the speed limit is 25.
There were signs.
But we went there to actually target the Snake River
Mhm.
and look for rainbow trout and cutthroat trout. Now, in that water, kind of giving you a flashback, cutthroat trout in those waters, Snake River, specifically the South Fork is what we're talking about too. There was always cutthroat. So it's a native fish. It's always been there. It's a neat fish. I had never seen one in person. I would say that the rainbow trout and brown trout are actually prettier.
Yeah.
They just kind of have
Yeah.
that red band right here. Wonder why they call them cutthroats. No. And I guess they're supposed to be pretty good eating. I've never gotten to eat one. Where we were, you can't keep any. There are parts supposedly where you can keep one or two, but there's just not that many where you can keep them. And I probably wouldn't anyways with the situation going on. But
That's a good example of how different rules can be just in different parts of the river. And you have to make sure when you go out, you have to know where you're going to be at and what the rules are, because you'll hit one point in a river and now you've switched over from one type of river to another. Now you can't keep this fish, but you
right,
can,
or the size.
changes. Like you got to be real careful with stuff like that.
You're 100% right. I actually, first getting into trout fishing, found that to be really annoying. And I would almost, when I was looking at my map book, I would almost pick destinations where I knew I wouldn't cross over into something new. Because they'll use, like, roads and stuff, but, like, as barriers or, like, lines. It's not that clear, and it's a little bit difficult. So, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Imagine doing that before GPS.
Yeah, now you're
Hot.
you're a little bit safer now. I mean, the amount I use my cell phone when trout fishing is astonishing, mainly because of OnX. But it's like you need that to know exactly where you are and what you're doing.
Yeah.
But anyhow, cutthroat were here, native. So in the 1950s, everyone had come back from World War II, and they were excited to get into fishing. But back then, when you fished, what do you think you did it for? You think there was a lot of catch and release back then? Like, no, you know.
You feed your family.
Well, that's the thing. So because of that, they're like, okay, there's not enough cutthroat here to feed everyone. What can we put in? What can we stock that would be good?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So the Department of Natural Resources actually back then are the ones who were like, well, we'll put rainbow trout in because they should do pretty good in here, and then people can harvest them as food. And at first, that was actually great. They put them in. They're a hardy fish. They did well. The numbers were there, and people were catching them and eating them. But then as that transition of those people quit fishing, the rainbow trout continued, and the population continued to grow. And then as maybe the fishermen numbers haven't diminished that much, but the consumption of fish has diminished that much because a lot of people are catch and release fishermen.
Yeah.
So especially in the fly fishing community, I never understood catch and release fishing. Like, I want to eat it. That's what like. You can eat that.
Yeah, I don't get that one either.
But like, you had the way I put it is like, if you're a catch and release fisherman, you had 3 meals today, 3 of them. Not one of them could have been fish. Now, I
Yeah.
get if you go to water, like if we caught a cutthroat, we would have let it go. And even catching a cutthroat to see it and then letting it go, completely understand that. But to like be like, all I do is fish and all I do is throw them back, it just seems a little silly. It's like I go out and I torture fish and then I come home and I order fish at the store. It's like, what?
Well, that comes
Yeah.
in stick form. It's different.
Yeah. So anyhow, you go out though, and the rainbow trout are in there, and there's so many of them that they're supposed to take up roughly 10% of the population of the water. So I said to him, I said, if that's the case, like if you piled all the amount of fish, like let's say in this mile stretch of river you had 10,000 pounds of fish, how much of that do you think would be rainbow trout? And it was like between, if you took the white fish out of it, because there's a lot of white fish in there, and they don't eat them. They act like it's like they're just in the way.
And they are good eating.
Yeah,
too.
they are.
Yeah.
They do have a lot of bones, but they're like, yeah, we have rainbow trout, stupid. Why would we eat that?
Yeah, of course.
Which I guess, I mean,
Yeah.
big old fillets, beautiful, or working out with a whitefish. But
Yeah.
anyhow, he said that it's supposed to be about 1,000 pounds out of the 10,000 should be rainbow trout, but right now
Okay.
it's probably, what is he said, about 7/10, three
Yeah,
quarters.
It's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's not good. And the problem is the cutthroat and the rainbow trout can make hybrids. So meaning the rainbow trout and cutthroat can interbreed
Yeah.
and then create a hybrid version of the two. And then long story short, the rainbow trout are also out competing them for food. So the real issue is,
More aggressive.
just better equipped.
Can the hybrids? Because I know a lot of times when you get different species like that are similar enough, they can hybrid, but then that hybrid can't go off.
That's a good
and
question.
have
That's actually an awesome
babies.
question. So they can have babies. The hybrids that we were catching, had milk or eggs. And he's like, yeah, that and that's
You've been milked before. we caught fish, and he's holding it up for a picture, and then it just goes.
yeah,
Goes, oh. Like,
Yeah.
Oh.
I remember that.
that happened about
Yeah.
60 times this trip.
Yeah, but that steelhead.
Yeah, and then they'd start shaking and slinging it everywhere.
Oh.
Ryan's like,
I'll try it.
oh god, no,
Oh,
just
Try
the
the
eggs.
eggs.
I did actually make that joke in the show though. You'll enjoy it.
Good.
I did this. I was like, they're like, hey. I'm just kidding. I was just curious. But jeez, that went dark quick. Anyhow, the fish themselves, there's so many in there, and they are interbreeding. They are creating hybrids, and those hybrids are reproducing. So what we're seeing is a trend where the cutthroat that still exist are either becoming, creating hybrid babies. Very few cutthroat and cutthroats reproducing.
Mm-hmm.
So what they want to do is eliminate the number back down to 10% in the river. Now, there was actually some signs put on some cars and stuff while we were there doing it, of people protesting it, very angry about this, because what the DNR is doing is they go out and they shock in the boats and they collect all the rainbow trout and remove them from the river.
Oh, okay.
Now, the initial thought on that is, well, we want to catch fish one way or the other. We want to catch fish. Why are you doing this to us?
Sure.
So while
You could
that's
see that,
sure, but I'm baiting you right now. I'm making you see it, and then I'm gonna come in with the right hook. So yes, they are removing fish from those waters, and they are pulling them out. And here's the thing, though, they're transplanting them. So we went from the South Fork, where we caught was it 630, 620, 620
like that.
fish, something like that.
Nice.
And we had this huge refrigerator truck that was like an aquarium in the back.
To be clear, with the electroshocker, we caught that many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would have been legal either way, but yeah.
True.
That is true.
So we went out and shocked all those, brought them in, put them in this big truck that had like aerators and stuff like that in them. A massive truck, holds tons of water, and all the fish were in there. And then we transplanted them to the Henry's Fork, which is another stretch of river that didn't have it's not quite as robust and could use rainbow trout. So, but it's only, well, I guess it was like 30, 40 minutes away. But here you got to understand, in Idaho, they're like, yeah, we're just going to go up to the road fishing. That's an hour and a half, and no one blinks an eye.
I couldn't believe
I
it.
couldn't believe it. We're like,
That's everywhere out there. I'm going to run to the store. You want anything? You sure you're just going to run to the store? It's like an hour drive.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I want a Slurpee. Bring it back intact.
When he kept saying Henry's Fork, for the majority of that time, that conversation, I thought he was saying Henry Ford. and I thought that part of the river was called Henry's Ford.
Like,
or something.
we can do that in
I'm
Michigan.
like, we have that museum.
We name everything that.
Yeah, that's actually literally what AJ said.
That's funny.
You weren't there though.
Yeah.
But
Was that why you guys were riding scooters?
we did ride scooters too. But I'm gonna don't segue like that. There's too much here.
Oh,
Get it? Because of scooter.
Nice.
Nice.
Continue with your story.
So we transplanted them to the Henry's Fork, and we dumped them there. And there was also some ponds that they stock. They call them ponds, not tanks.
Good.
We stocked those. They're like old quarries, and they're used for kids or adults to come and learn to fish. It's meant for the beginner
Nice.
to learn how to fish. So they're moving the fish to there, and then the Henry's Fork, which is another fishing opportunity for everyone. So when you get right down to it, they're not taking any fish away from fishermen in that area. They are moving fish.
Shuffling them.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah,
And
shuffling
now-
is a good way.
Now, if you're shuffling them over to this stretch, or you're moving them to these ponds where these people will be able to catch them, people are still catching them, and then the cutthroat can do well in the Snake River, and we can bring that back. So, and as you remove those rainbow trout, the goal is to hit the 30% mark. So if you can remove 30% of the fish based on natural mortality, based on failure and success of reproduction, if you can eliminate 30% and move them somewhere else, that will start the snowball effect of the population diminishing in that river. And their goal is to get it down to 10%. Now, again, if you had 10,000 pounds of fish in the water, the goal of this whole thing is that by removing 75% of the rainbow trout, that 75% or that 7,500 pounds will be filled with brown trout and cutthroat trout.
Nice.
So the trout, the amount of pounds of fish in the water will be the same.
Nature will correct.
And in addition to that, we're enhancing Henry's Fork and these other stretches of river with
so that way in 50 years they can do the same thing to that river.
Yeah.
and then we'll switch back.
Can they now? It's just a fork. It's part of the same river. Can they?
That was my question.
Is there like so many that will make it back, like homeward bound?
Actually, that was something Lance pointed out. There's blockers in place, and as far as like why they would make that travel and that run, it's probably not likely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's always a fear if those different forks can get back into it. But where they're stocking them is in areas far enough away that
Very far.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you guess how many trout they have per mile in that river?
Are you sure on this? Because you kept saying it.
No, I heard too.
I'm positive.
Okay, then good.
I heard it
Per
too.
mile.
Per mile, guess how many
I
trout
want
there
the
are.
Washington Post getting us.
200.
Hold on.
2,000.
Hold on. Before he guesses, let me give him a little bit more. The river is
4 times.
twice. Okay, go ahead. What's
I was
your?
gonna say it's about 4 times of our average trout fishing river.
No,
Oh,
more than that.
Okay.
I would say if you took the big Manistee where let's use that for steelhead, like where
Okay.
where we went salmon fishing, I would say it is not any. It's not deeper though.
No,
It's not deeper.
No.
It's shallower for sure.
Yeah.
I'll say three
Yeah.
times as wide as the Manistee, maybe.
Oh well, then 1,500.
No.
So your
Why-
guess
why
is
you get-
15,
why-
I don't know.
1,500
I don't
fish per
keep
mile.
track of population numbers, so I don't really.
Now I'll guess.
I don't have a good
you ask
guess,
me.
really.
Huh?
Now I'll guess. You ask me.
Ryan, how many fish do you think? How many fish
I
do
know
you think
it.
are in the mile stretch? Oh, you do?
6,000
Wow.
trout per mile.
And they have more than enough food to flourish,
Huh.
according to the
Yeah,
locals.
it's insane.
Really?
It was
That's
unbelievable, and they
nuts.
had no idea what they had. When you talked to them and tried to compare it to what we have here,
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, really?" Like
I
it
was
a
like,
surprise
every
to them.
fish I'm catching is better than that of any fish I've ever caught.
It was incredible. They have no idea what they have,
Yeah.
or they do, and they just don't care.
We did the
Oh.
shocking first, and when we come back, we're actually going to kind of break down how the shocking works, what happens to the fish. You're not going to believe it. It's like this Robotron body takeover thing.
Robotron, Nice.
It's pretty cool.
I'm imagining a transformer.
Yeah.
Time on Trust isn't built in a day. It's built over time. The early hours and the late nights. It's built by doing the work and pushing the limits every day. Because the promises we make are the promises we were built to keep.
If you'd like to help support the Greenway Outdoors, please like and comment on this podcast and subscribe to all of our channels.
Hello, and welcome back to the Greenway Outdoors podcast. So we're talking about the Snake River in Idaho. It's kind of a controversial topic. Like I said, there was letters put on doors of people protesting, like, get out of here. We don't want you doing this.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I thought people were spray painting letters on doors.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
we said there's like letters on the doors. He's like, are you serious? They spray painted?
Oh
I'm like,
my
where'd you get
God.
spray paint? As if he's never received a note in his life. He's just like, no one writes me. I'll start writing you. I'll start writing you every morning.
I haven't had a pen pal since second grade.
But yeah, there's people actually protesting and actually upset that we were out there doing that.
And it's fishermen?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. It would be fishermen. But I think it's like they spread a lot of misinformation though.
Yeah.
Because they're always telling people this is, for instance, like we were looking online, some of the things people are spreading, this is not true, is that they're just getting rid of the fish, that they're shocking them, that the shocking makes them sterile. So then when you send them somewhere else, they're not actually going to reproduce where you're sending them. Completely false. There's no science based on that whatsoever. We were talking to the DNR officer and they were laughing about it.
Yeah.
So they're like, that's absolutely insane to think.
Shout out to Brett, by the way.
Yeah, Brett was our
Biologist.
yeah, our biologist, our liaison of fish.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
He's awesome. Super knowledgeable. We're probably going to do a podcast with him as well.
Nice.
In the lead up to this episode, because everything we're talking about is going to be a full episode of our TV show on Sportsman Channel. You'll be able to see it there. But we're talking to him, and yeah, the people are upset about it, and a lot of times it's based on things that aren't factual. And I again, circling back to the same point, I think the best way to word it is they are not taking any fish from local fishermen. They are simply moving fish to a
Relocating
different
them.
location for local fishermen
Yeah.
because they're still able to be caught there. Matter of fact, if you time the trucks right, you could probably do pretty good. Just like when they're dumping them. Like,
Sure.
So the mortality rate was, I guess the survival rate was 99% or more.
Oh, cool.
Which is really impressive. I was when we were dumping them, I was expecting much more loss.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you're shocking them, so that's,
Well, not even the shocking part, just the putting them into the tank and driving them,
Yeah.
the actual relocation.
yeah,
I was just
Yeah,
the
you're
stress
like
of it.
in a truck for an hour.
Sure.
Trout are like they don't
sensitive.
handle stuff like that too well.
Yeah. Did they say how long it will take for the river to get back up to 100%?
No,
Like for the other fish to repopulate?
no, but because there's no way to sustainably track that until you remove them in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, he's like, it's so crazy though. The Snake River, it's something special in the sense that it just seems like no matter what you take out, the fish are back within seconds.
Yeah.
Like there's so many fish in there. They constantly reproduce. And his belief is though, as we take out the rainbows, especially if we can get to that 30% mark, that lump sum of weight, let's say there's 10,000 pounds of fish per mile, that will fill in fast.
Yeah. Yeah. The river can hold so many, they will stretch to make that happen.
It's like the ultimate situation for fishing.
Yeah.
It really, and for fish. So the shocking was really cool in itself. We go out in this big boat and we've dropped these lines off the front of the boat. There's like these two arms that come out and then drop these lines, and they have the electric current in them, and they run a full generator to do it. So they run them out there, and you stand on this platform with a big long neck, or big long.
It's like if a bunch of metal lines were hanging off that pen, like it's straight, right?
Yeah, like this. And they were just,
Let them get a piece of paper. You can show it.
yeah.
It was like negative 10 gauge wire.
Oh, okay.
It was like construction.
Sure.
So the current's
Cable almost.
the current's
Yeah.
running through there, and it's
Cable,
running off
yeah.
a big loud generator. Perfect for filming, of course. But it's running in the water, and what'll happen is the shock hits the water, obviously the closer to the wires you are, the stronger the shock. But when it hits the water, what happens is you see fish trying to get away from it, kind of, because there's only so much reach. Like, it only reaches, like, you got to be within, like, 6 foot of them, basically, to have it affect.
Oh, okay.
But if they're too close and in range, what'll happen is it kind of, the shock, almost like when he described it as grabbing an electrical pole or a fence and not being able to let go.
Oh, okay.
You know, like when you grab it and it's like, ooh, and you can't let go.
You tense up.
It does that to the fish, but in the sickest way, gets them to swim towards the electrical current. So it like takes over their body, so they go right towards the current.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yeah, and then
Interesting.
all you do is scoop them up. So it's like you're like, why are they swimming? So it'll look like fish are swimming to the lines. Really strange. And then they come to the lines, and then when they get close enough, they just keel over.
'Cause you said the closer you get, the stronger it is. So at some point, it just kind of like overwhelms them.
Yep.
and
Yeah.
just-
It's like you couldn't have wrote it up any better. It's like, what can
Yeah.
we get to have them swim towards us and then stop moving? Okay, perfect. But you take them out of the current, and like all the people that are wondering what that looks like, you pull that fish out of the water, and he looks like he's stone dead, obviously. But you pull him out of the water, and then you drop him into the bucket. And there's some skill in the sense that you want to get them in the bucket of water. It's like a live well. As fast as possible and out of the current as fast as possible.
Sure.
So you want to be quick on the net. Because if they're sitting in the current, the longer they're sitting in the current, again, I don't see them getting damaged at all. But I suppose if you put one of the cables right on them and just let it sit there for a half hour, that'd probably get them. You know, it'd probably kill them. But this,
and they're not swimming around, so their gills aren't getting the
sure.
water through them. So they, I suppose after a while it would probably.
And the stress of every muscle in your body tensing up.
Sure.
You're just depleting every resource it has.
Sure.
They'll feel like they got a good workout for a couple days.
Yeah.
So you pull these suckers in, and I dropped them in the live well, and AJ can attest to this. He was in there filming it in slow motion. I would say 25 seconds, 20 seconds after dropping them in the live well, they were upright and swimming around.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The ones that get away, they get revived within like 5 minutes. He said.
Yeah.
Hey, and for trout, yes, are a little more fragile, but you got to give fish the benefit of the doubt. If you can take something, put it out on the ice, and then later bring it in to like clean it or whatever, you put it in a tub, fill it with water to thaw them, and they start swimming again.
That is cool.
Fish are pretty hardy.
Yeah.
They can make it through stuff.
They can do a lot more than we can as far as you take us out of oxygen for that long and then put us in oxygen. We're not going to just start breathing again.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, they're pretty miraculous. But, yeah, the shocking really interested me in the fact that it seemed like they were swimming towards you. Now, the netting was difficult because, natural netting, you know the rules.
It's like a pool skimmer.
Yeah. When we're netting, it is. When we're netting in a normal fish in a boat, like let's say you caught a walleye, you're bringing it in. I'm going to take the net, put it in the water sideways, and drag it to the fish, and you're going to drag it to me, and they're going to come together.
Yep.
Cannot do that doing this.
Really?
Won't work. Because so you're going into the current, okay? And the current, well, not always, but let's say you're going into the current or not, it doesn't matter. But let's say you're going into the current. Then what's going to happen is put the net in the water, and it's going to yank the net this way.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
want to go under the boat.
Sure.
Or if you put the net in it that way, it's going to want to go away from the boat.
Yeah.
So you can't just line it up. You would think, I was like, oh, there's a fish coming towards me here.
You lost 2 of their nets, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I didn't. But I couldn't believe the workout because until I learned to quit trying to resist the water, you have to look at, because either the direction of the boat going or the current. So no matter which direction you do it, you can't just put the net in the water and hope that you can muscle it towards the fish because it won't work. You're better off jabbing at it.
Like to just whack-a-mole, hit it from the top?
Essentially.
Yeah.
Really?
It's better to go from the top and kind of swoosh down and almost hit the top of the fish and pull it in.
Yeah.
If you can get the head, you got the fish.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
And you can miss and then hopefully get one more crack at them before they're behind the boat.
Yeah.
But
interesting.
Yeah, so it's not what I thought it would be. Like what I started doing, and immediately Brett's like, no, you want to try and do this, you want to try and do that, but
he could do it blindfolded.
Do you wear like rubber gloves?
No.
Really?
No. You get
The
but I have a
things are made out of
The
fiberglass.
net. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you don't wear the rubber gloves, you can't let go of the net because it. No, I'm just kidding. No, we wore our rubber boots, and I said that I was like, I wore the rubber boots. He's like, well, that's okay. I was like, I don't know. It made me feel better. I like knowing that I had rubber boots on. We needed it though. We needed waders really for everything we were doing. We were in and out of the water and stuff. It was a blast though. Yeah. Cleanest water you ever saw in your life.
Oh sure.
Absolutely clean, beautiful. Looked like you could grab a handful and drink it, didn't it?
I would agree.
Absolutely.
It was like a bright blue color.
Yeah, it had more of a tealy, greener, like pretty.
Nice.
Yeah, like not quite ocean, but crystal
it's like
clear.
the Detroit River on a really nice day.
Yeah.
Like
Which
how it
sounds
has that
crazy.
cool
He's not being
color.
sarcastic.
No, it's for real.
Yeah. But also pretty shallow. You know, you could see bottom everywhere.
Huh.
Yeah, there's very few times where we didn't see bottom.
Yeah. Did it look like the bottom here where there's like pebbles, rocks?
Mostly rock.
Like mostly sand?
Bigger
No,
rocks,
mostly
too.
mostly rocks.
Mostly rock?
Yeah, there
Yeah.
were some giant rocks down there too, but mostly rocks.
Okay.
Yeah, I was talking to the guy Snoop, is what he goes by, I guess. His name's Brandon. He took us out fishing,
Okay.
and we were just talking about the different types of boats,
Yeah.
and 90% of the people out there have jet boats.
Yeah.
And then he asked me what we use, because of how I was asking, and I
Sure.
go 95% of people out by us, it's all prop.
Yeah.
And he was like, really? I'm like, yeah, we have a lake. Like, our water's
Oh,
deep.
yeah. Yeah.
And he was just surprised by that. So it was just interesting, the differences in tactic and the way they do things out there, because it's nothing like here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we were talking about how pumped we were to catch all these trout and the size and the difference they are from Michigan to there, and he was like, "Well, we feel the opposite because we don't even like them, or we wish we could. We could fish bass." You
Yeah,
know?
that he
Yeah.
did say that. I was like, why would you even want to ever lay eyes on a bass? That's what I said to him.
You guys have bass there?
That was how it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, yeah, they taste okay, and most
Yeah.
people hate you if you keep them. That's what we got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the rainbow trout fight better.
Yeah.
Say what you will, because we were catching rainbow trout the size of good size largemouth bass, and the fight was
Oh.
better.
Yeah.
We're here. You're lucky if you get like a 13-incher. You're like, yes.
We
You
got
know,
a 13-incher. I would have thought there was no fish on the line with how big the fish were that we were catching. I don't know what to say.
That would have been our smallest fish of the day.
That would have 100% our biggest fish here, and that's what I was trying to get them to understand. I was like, man, if I caught a rainbow that was like 8 inches at home, I'd be posting on Facebook.
Yeah, right.
So
That's weird.
yeah, that's kind of the
Is there when you were just actual fishing, was there like what's the limit?
there is
What's
no
the
limit.
size? Is there
Nope,
nothing?
nothing.
600 a day.
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
you can
You have to
Go
take it
as
by
long as you want.
legal means though, in the mouth.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
go
Interesting.
until you get tired, or you can't carry the fish out.
Yeah. Just because they're trying to not get rid of them, but
Right.
drastically reduce their numbers because they're overpopulated.
Yeah, the last thing they're going to do is hinder the fishermen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
It was-
about and then cutthroat? You cannot keep.
Where we were, you couldn't. According to the owner of the dealership that we worked with, the Yeti dealership,
Mm-hmm.
they said that there was a place where you could keep 2
Oh, okay.
for a short amount of time.
Interesting. I wonder what because they're a different fish. They're similar. I wonder what the flavor difference or the texture difference, because they're in the same environment. So you think they'd be at least
Yeah, so
somewhat similar.
that actually brings up another good point. The
Good question.
when we were filleting all the fish, so we had about 40. By the way, our freezer downstairs is full, so
Nice.
help yourself. You won't like the pink ones. Don't take the pink ones. You want the whiter fleshed ones. Now, and that's the point. Is we were talking to him and Snoop when we were cleaning them, and he's like, the ones that have the real pink hue to them are the best.
Yeah.
And that's the ones that you want. The ones that have the whiter flesh, they're like, they tend to be softer, not as good. And that whiter comes from the fact that they're spawning, so they're all worked up and they're not eating as well and that sort of thing. A couple of them had scrapes on their noses from digging out their beds and fighting and
Oh, okay.
stuff like that too.
Sure.
I'm probably gonna cook some tonight.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
How you gonna do it?
I'm not sure yet,
Yeah. Well, so
but I'm probably.
we've got an assortment downstairs.
Nice.
We have mostly pink ones, like real good colored to them.
Yeah.
But we got some of the white ones too, and it might even come. We were joking about them, like it might even just be an opinion,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
a big incentive for the locals was the way that they were tagged. And the
that's
way
I was just gonna. That is awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what I was just about to talk about. So they actually tag the fish there. And we had covered this on a podcast about a year ago. But when we covered it on the podcast, and tell me about it. Tell me what you're thinking too. Basically, we talked about the fact that there's tags in fish, that people get paid if they find a tag in a fish. There could be money in it, and they're doing that as an incentive to get people out fishing. And I was like, oh my gosh, a place with rainbow trout that actually pay you to go fishing. That's cool.
Finding a golden ticket as an adult.
Right. So
Yeah.
what is your thought? Like, describe what your guess is that would look like.
The tag?
No. The situation. Like, what is that? Like,
you would think that people are excited. They're going out, just like bands on waterfowl here. You get one, you're really excited. You're going to call a number, find out if you got a prize.
But what are your thoughts as far as like how many there probably are out there?
Oh,
Like, what are the odds that you would predict?
2%, maybe 5% if they're real aggressive.
Right. So it's nowhere near that. I
Really.
would say. I don't think they could tag that many fish.
Watching them
Yeah.
when they were electroshocking, the amount of beeps I saw, I would have put the rate between 130, 140.
What
not bad.
one for every 30 or 40 fish
Based on what I was seeing, that one
of the ones we
Because they're
electroshocked.
checking them as they bring them in.
Yes.
Oh.
So
And
they-
that's what's I think is so interesting. So I equate the tag to look like if you took a mechanical pencil and you clicked it a couple times and a little piece of lead came out, like 2 clicks worth, probably.
Teeny tiny.
Yeah, and you pulled that out and then put that in a fish's head. That's what the tag looks like
So
to
it's
me.
just like
That's a
a
pretty
little-
good description.
Yeah,
One
that
little
was
black
perfect.
speck, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it goes in that. So you wouldn't be able to see it.
Yeah.
So what the fishermen are incentivized to do is when they clean their fish, cut off the heads, take the heads into the DNR, and then the DNR will scan
Make
each.
it soup.
Yeah, you want to get it there. Let it sit out for a few days before you take it. No. But you want to actually have that. You take it into the DNR, and they'll take out each head and scan it with their scanner. And if it beeps, then they'll go in and surgically pull it out and then tell you how much it's worth.
Oh.
So
That's
it
cool.
ranges. Guess what the range is for dollars?
Oh. Who knows? Like, it could be $20. It could be $200.
So your guess is 20 to 200.
Sure.
I would have been in the same range.
Yeah.
It's 50 to 1,000.
Oh, wow.
So it's a lot of money. And I think Ryan's right. I would say based on the intel we got from the local fishermen and based on the intel we got from shocking,
Yeah.
I would say one out of 30 fish tend to have it.
Nice.
So we asked Snoop. He was almost weird about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, how much money would you say you make a season off that? Because that's like, I know it's like a kid asking somebody like how much money they have, but it's like I gotta ask.
Yeah.
Pretty similar.
It's like one of those awkward questions, like, how much property do you have?
Why are you sick?
Yeah. Why are you sick? So, looking at it though, looking at the numbers, and asking Snoop, how many he caught, but I asked him how much money. He's like, I wouldn't even know. He goes, it covers my fishing gear and all my fishing trips though, for sure.
Oh.
And here's the thing, I was like, well, and for the viewer, it may sound like 30 fish might be a lot, but it's not necessarily a lot because we're idiots and we went out and caught 30 in a day.
Yeah.
So that means that probably on a good day of fishing,
If you go out regularly and, know
I'd say
the
you'd be looking
spots
at a
and-
tag a week if you were going 2 to 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'd say
possible.
that'd be fair.
Interesting.
And that's
But who knows what amount that could be?
now the biggest one Snoop got was 500. That was
Wow.
the highest one he got.
Okay.
Yeah, that interested me too. Is like, well, what's the biggest number one you got? He didn't have it. He told me that.
Yeah. What I'm looking forward to is that no matter how many times we say it, and I'm sure Brandon's a nice guy, but we've said Snoop. So now people will watch the episode and we'll get comments. I thought Snoop was going to be on the episode.
Nope.
We're going to get stuff for that.
Snoop does have a dog though.
Nice.
Yellow
Yeah.
lab, 5 years old,
Snoop's
good
dog?
hunter. Oh no, that's Lance's dog. Lance is the one with the lab.
I never heard about a dog.
Yeah.
No, me neither.
I
Just
hunt.
the-
Well,
just the
that means
rabbit.
it was Lance because I was alone with Lance. Yeah.
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 Ooh.
So no, it wasn't like that. we had 2 boats out there for filming,
Oh, okay.
so it was pretty awesome.
They were
Great
both
market
super
for those
cool.
float boats. I've never
Yeah,
seen those before.
they're so neat. They're like these
Drift
base-
boats.
Huh?
Drift boats.
Yeah,
Drift
drift boats. I don't know. They're shaped really dramatic, like
Yeah, it's like a dramatic banana.
a really narrow bottom.
Yeah.
And they're made to be able to cut through the water where you can go upstream and just paddle with like
Oh,
a current
that
that's
didn't make
unbelievable.
sense to me.
It's like a
'Cause that
rowboat.
current was insane.
So it somehow minimizes like
Contact.
like draft friction, whatever else.
Yeah, it's that's exactly what it does, and that's why it's able to do that. And most people don't even have motors on them, and they're just cruising, and you're like, this current is like nearly blowing you over when you're in the water, and they're just going up.
Don't go sideways though.
Yeah, yeah. I assume that's Native American tech.
I
At
would
some
guess.
point, yeah, I
Yeah.
could be wrong,
I'm sure they were the first ones to figure everything out
Yeah.
there.
but it was cool. There was moose there, there's elk there, there's bear there, there's the best trout fishing you ever had. I cannot say enough about the state of Idaho. If you would have bet me what I would think of the state of Idaho, I would have substantially lost the bet. The downtown area we
Big
went
time.
to, we stayed in Idaho Falls, gorgeous town.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the devil lives there.
Oh yeah, the meth head.
Yeah, there's this crazy guy that when we were there, I thought he was painted red. They thought that's just his pigment. I don't know.
I thought he may have been painted.
I think it was just his pigment. I think he was so messed up that something's happening.
we
He's
walked.
just your average crazy guy walking around yelling gibberish.
Turns out
High
he's
on
their
drugs.
beloved local whatever. And they're jerks.
No.
No, he
I don't
was.
think
He was
anyone-
a very scary human
If he
being.
looked at a kid, the kid would start crying.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's scary.
He like
And
was painted red and his hair was crazy and he was going like crazy.
just like a rabid dog.
Yeah.
It was
You
funny.
talking about Papa Red, the unofficial king of Idaho? Oh no. Every
Papa
town's got
Red?
their crazy guy that they're like, oh, that's him. He's adorable.
He's not.
No.
That's not the word I'd use to describe him. But the overall town itself was absolutely gorgeous. What I couldn't get past was how nice everyone was,
We didn't run into a single person that you're like, that person's a jerk.
except the
Every-
devil. But
Except, well, we didn't really talk to him.
Except
He could have
Papa
been very
Red.
nice.
he
Could've
wasn't.
been.
He would have spoken gibberish, but
Everyone was so nice. The TSA at the airport in Jackson Hole were the nicest people ever. We
Yeah.
stayed and talked to them for a while after we were done going
Yeah?
through.
Yeah.
It-
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, TSA people, I would say overall are pretty nice, but almost every airport we've been at, there's been at least one who's just the grumpiest person you've seen.
All of them at
None of
Detroit.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The Detroit airport's not the friendliest place on planet. But
Except for a couple people who've helped us.
yeah, that's true.
Well,
We're always late. That
Just
drives
in
me-
case.
outliers.
What are you,
Just
devil's
in-
advocate?
Just in case they're
Let us
listening.
enjoy this.
He also would have liked
We-
the guy in Idaho Falls.
We always tell them about the show, so maybe they're listening, and I don't want them to be grumpy with us.
It is funny that we travel so much. We're starting to recognize some of the staff at the airport.
Yeah.
But
That is
anyhow,
true.
the people in Idaho Falls, the people in Jackson Hole, coolest towns
Yeah.
I've been to in a while. Really up north cabiny feel to all the
Yeah.
shops and stuff, but had all the normal stores.
I think the scenery is kind of like a hidden gem. Like you think Idaho. Me personally, I just thought potato farms like
Yep.
they would be in everywhere.
Turns out potato farms gorgeous.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, you see mountain tops everywhere you go. You see the snow, mountain caps, and just tons of wildlife. It looked a lot like where we chucker hunted.
Nice.
So
Just with more snow.
So very expansive views.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you see forever.
Yeah.
See forever. But the people is the number one thing. The people at the Department of Natural Resources, nicest people ever.
Nice.
Shout out to James, shout out to Brett, and all the team there that we worked
Snoop.
with. And Snoop's the fisherman. Shout out to him. Shout out to Lance. They were all just people we'd hang out with again. So
Yeah.
we're gonna go back.
Super pleasant.
The hotel guy.
You have to. The hotel guy was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people at the hotel were the nicest people. Everybody was just so nice.
Oh, well,
Nice.
not the one guy. The one guy the first night came to the
When you were
door.
banging and making a ruckus.
Hey, listen.
He was doing Ryan was like, I don't know what the joke was, but he was like banging on the door, and the
Oh,
guy's like,
okay.
"Are you guys okay?" He must have been walking by at that time. I was like, Ryan.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
slamming on that door.
Yeah.
So there was good reason that he stopped by.
Someone lost their kid. Can you take him?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to make up an excuse like one of us had Tourette's or something.
No, man.
My mind doesn't go there.
Yeah. The fishing was incredible. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back in December.
Nice. All
Now
right.
there's a bunch of ski resorts there, so we'll take a group of friends and we'll take the girls and we'll go to Jackson Hole, go snowboarding and skiing and stuff for a few days. And then they've got a few lakes up there that the DNR, that Brett from the DNR is going to take us to. That is awesome for ice fishing. And they've got all kinds of cool species there, from giant trout you'll catch through the water, salmon, stuff like that, ice fishing. So I'm so down for that, and I'm pretty excited about it. This trip will be, again, covered on an episode of the Greenway Outdoors. The footage is unbelievable. I mean, the amount of underwater footage we have of these fish, Ryan and AJ's dedication to getting these shots was insane. Out in the water, doing whatever we had to do to get underwater footage of these fish, seeing them fight, the over-the-top views, being able to see the beds, see every little nook and cranny, the slow-motion shots. It's just, this will be a spectacle, this episode, 100%.
It was a beautiful place.
And it's going to be on Sportsman Channel. Today is it
30?
The April 30th, so it's probably going to be coming out in June or July that you'll be able to see it. But it's going to be just a spectacle. And when we go back, I'm so excited to go there again, fish for some fish that we've never fished through the ice for. Nice. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, big ones too.
I know.
That's nice.
Yeah.
They're huge. They're huge. And we got a whole cooler of fish downstairs I'll have to show you in the freezer. So hopefully we'll be able to bring back another couple of coolers from ice fishing. And
now I actually feel bad for not bringing eggs.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
I would recommend going out and checking out the Snake River. Reach out to the Department of Natural Resources in Idaho Falls. They're eagerly awaiting your phone calls. You can call there anytime. There will be a biologist on staff at the front desk ready to ask questions for you at all times. They rotate in there. They all take turns covering the desk. And they're there ready to answer your questions, point you in the right direction. Go out, try and catch some of these rainbow trout. Respect and get excited about the science. Hopefully find some tag, get some money, tell them the Greenway Outdoors sent you.
Yeah, no better incentive.
Exactly. If you are listening to this podcast, you could have actually seen our ugly faces. You could have gone to YouTube. You could have gone to Carbon TV. You could have seen it there. But we're also available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. Anywhere you can find a podcast, Spotify, we're going to be there. Again, check out our show on Sportsman Channel. We're at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays, as well as a couple other times throughout the week. We have a secondary TV show called The Huntcast, which is our online TV show. It's kind of a talk show meets hunting show. Ryan tends to be the star of it, and the episode we just released is actually showcases his first deer.
Yeah.
And Ryan did the editing and the voiceover on that, and he did an absolutely fantastic job. Find that in our YouTube channel, link below. Also, check out, like I said, our podcast every single week. We're going to be right here. We release it on Fridays at 5:30 p.m. Thanks. Oh, you got something, Ryan?
Merch coming soon.
Oh, yeah, we
happens to be trout.
So, yeah, you can go to the greenwayoutdoors.store or the greenwayoutdoors.com and click shop now. When you do that, you'll be able to see the Greenway gear we have now. You often see us with hats on. Jeff refuses to wear them. Actually, no one in here has anything on Greenway gear, but it is the coolest stuff. It's because we wear it all the time. I think like when we feel like we're getting on the podcast, we got to wear something different. But we have a lot of hats, a lot of shirts, but we have a lot of new stuff coming as well. So watch the website for that. We also have a cool holographic series coming out, new stickers. We got new window decals for the back of the trucks. Really cool. Sweet stuff. So the greenwayoutdoors.store. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Greenway Outdoors podcast. We'll see you next week.